Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, 9 students. This is teacher Abd Samad. Welcome back to another lesson. So this lesson, inshallah, we'll be discussing chemistry. So your last chemistry exam. So this chemistry exam was about two different topics. So the first topics was about environmental chemistry or using chemistry. So the first question says by this is a photograph is shown how the cliff on a coastal line by chart changing between the years 1886 to 1919. So the question is, how can you tell from the photograph that coastal line has changed? So you need to study first the picture, then after you can answer the question. The second question says by what made the coastline change? So the rain, the sea, the wind, or the sun. Question B, on the seashore, pebbles that are rough and uneven become smooth and rounded. Explain how they become smooth and rounded. Question C, it says by the photograph blue shows a curved limestone head. The surface of the limestone has changed over many years. So what causes that change? So which process made the surface of the limestone change over many years? Is that the carving? Is that the polishing? Is that the weathering? Is that the melting? Name a substance in the air which made the surface of the limestone change. The second question, so you have it says by you have experiment. So apparent blue to find out substances are produced when methanol burns. So these are like apparent that you need to find out what substance are produced when methanol burned. So as a methanol burned, two different gases were produced. So one of these gases condensed in the U tube to give a colorless liquid. Give the name of this liquid. The other gas turned the lime water cloudy. So the other gas turned the lime water cloudy. What's called that gas? Question B, methanol is sometimes used as antifreeze. It can be added to water in car windscreen, wash bottles to prevent the water from freezing in cold conditions. So you can see here, antifreeze methanol, percentage antifreeze used is 10%. 10% is -5 degrees Celsius, 20 -12, 30% is -21. So the label on the bottle of any antifreeze has two hazard warning symbols. What two precautions would you need to take when using this antifreeze? You can see here, it has two basically warning symbols. So when you see that two warning symbols, so what cautions you need to take or precautions that you need to take when using antifreeze? The second question, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. The label on the bottle shows how the freezing point changes when different amounts of antifreeze are added to water. So Terry put a mixture containing 10% antifreeze into the wash bottle of his car. During the night, the temperature dropped to -14 degrees Celsius. So explain why the wash bottle burst. Question number 3, you have information. So you need to answer, give the number of one metamorphic process. So using by basically the description, you have that above. Give the number of one igneous process. Give the number of two steps which could lead to the information of sandstone. So this question says that limestone and sandstone are two different rocks. Limestone is mainly calcium carbonate. It reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce bubbles of gas. Complete the word equation. When hydrochloric acid is added calcium carbonate, so it comes out water. What else comes out rather than water? Sandstone is mainly silicon dioxide. Glass for test tubes is also made from silicon dioxide. So just what if anything will happen when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to a piece of sandstone? Question number 4, it says by a headline from a newspaper is shown blue. So that's the information from the newspaper. So the question says by name a factor you would need to vary in your investigation. Vary means to get difference in your investigation. What factor would you examine to see the effect? This is independent variable. How could you measure this dependent variable? Such as one factor you would control to ensure that your investigation is fair. Complete the word equation below for the reaction between calcium carbonate. When you add calcium carbonate to to hydrochloric acid, what comes out? So they give to you two of the product, that's carbon dioxide and water. Limestone is mainly calcium carbonate. It's weathered by acids in the air or in soil. In June 1991, a year 9 class planned a long-term investigation into the chemical weathering of limestone by acids in soil. They built limestone tubing of similar size in 3 nylon mesh bags. They buried the bags outside in the soil in different pH. You can see the first sample in soil, the pH is 5, the second one, the pH is 7, and the third one, the pH is 8. So chemical weathering took place in the sample A, and the mass of the sample decreased. Give the reason for the decrease in mass. Use the word equation above to help you. The students predicted that chemical weathering would not take place in sample B and C. Give reason for this prediction. Some chemical weathering did take place in samples B and C. What could have changed the conditions in these soils to cause weathering to take place? So question C, let's see. The table shows how the mass of each sample changed between the year 1999 to 2000. So the first question is, use the result in the table to predict an approximate value for the mass of this sample in 2010. So in 1999, it's basically 1,000. And when it's 1995, it's, let's say the pH5 is 980, 2,960. What are you expecting from 2010? The expectation. So expectation not means like just writing down like random numbers. You need to expect probably basically why it is not impossible to be certain what the mass of this sample will be in 2010. So the next part of the questions I will show you by Google form. So you can see here the Google form questions. These questions were the questions that I was explaining to you right now. So we were on here. So we're starting basically the second part. So question 7. So it's about reaction of metal compounds and on their reactivity. So you have a table. So this is a table. You have gold, mercury, sodium, and iron, and their melting point. So the first question is, which metal in the table has the highest melting point? Question 7b, which metal in the table has the lowest melting point? Question 7c, gold can be a gas or a liquid or a solid. Choose from these words to fill the gaps below. So you need to fill the gaps below, okay? The gold changes from air, which changes from the gold. Question 7d, 5 grams of gold is melted and all of it's poured into mold to make a pendant as shown below. What is the mass of the gold pendant? You need to tell the mass. The table below shows how the four metals react with oxygen when heated in air. Which is the most reactive metal in the table? Which one is the most reactive metal in the table? Question 7f, which is the least reactive metal in the table according to the reaction when it's heated in the air? Question 8a, the table below shows the percentage of carbon in 4 different materials. Which material has the highest percentage carbon? So you have the percentage of carbon in the materials. So that's 4.5, 0.8, 0.3, 1, 0.1. So this question, you have the graph below shows how the percentage of carbon affects the strength of materials. Use the graph to find the percentage of carbon in the materials with the greatest strength. Which one has the greatest strength? The vertical line, you have the strength, and the horizontal line, you have the percentage of carbon. Use your answer to bar 1 to name the strongest material in the table. So question 8d, you have steel rods can be put into concrete beams before the concrete sets. What could these concrete beams be used for? So question 8e, steel contains iron. Give the name of one other substance which must be present for the iron to get rusty. Question 9, Jessica was investigating the rusting of iron. She said that 5 experiments are shown below. So and left the test tubes for 3 days. So explain why the nails had not rested in test tubes B and C in test tube B. Explain why the nails. So because before you answer this question, you need to study about the experiment and the table. And the table first. Question 9. So in test tube E, the iron nail reacted with vinegar. Vinegar is acidic, alkaline, or neutral. So it's vinegar acidic, alkaline, or neutral. When the iron reacted with the vinegar, bubbles of gas were forming. What gas was forming? What's called the gas forming? So give a reason for your answer. Before putting the iron nail into tube D, Jessica weighted the nail after 3 days, dried and weighted the nail and rust which had forming. How did the total mass of the nail and rust compare to the mass of the nail at the beginning? Was there a difference? So question 10, you have a predictable basically. You just need to answer using by this predictor these questions. So the first question is, what is the name of the element with the symbol H? Question 10b, in which region of the periodic table are the following types of elements found? Nonmetals, such as oxygen and chlorine, very reactive metals such as sodium and potassium, less reactive metals such as copper and zinc. Why is copper sulfate not found in the periodic table? An iron nail is placed into simple copper sulfate solution. A reaction takes place between the iron and the copper sulfate. Complete the word equation for the reaction iron plus copper sulfate. Describe one change you would see on the surface of the nail. That's all about what you're doing, inshallah. I hope you understand. So if you didn't understand some of the questions I explained, basically you can take a picture, you can send them my WhatsApp number, or you can text me on class later. So see you inshallah with the next lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.